Well, good evening from the Good News Broadcasting Studio headquarters here in Nairobi. Welcome to the Insight Tonight. My name is Eugene Ochieng Kwach. And this, of course, is the Insight where we delve into political issues to enlighten, to educate you on the issues that are around you that affect you one-on-one. And of course, as we do all this to enlighten you, we bring on show different stakeholders who will help us to substantiate the conversation even more and better for you. Well, tonight we are looking at the race to State House. The race to State House. And of course, momentum is fast building towards next year's general election. The race for the State House hot up as top contenders and their allies scramble to garner significant nationwide support. Remarkably, narratives around President Uhuru Kenyatta's succession politics are taking center stage. Coupled with emerging conversation on new political formation and alliances, ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi remains a constant denominator in all this conversation. The One Kenya alliance comprising Mudavadi, Kanu's Gideon Moi, Ford Kenya's Moses Wetangula, the Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka is emerging as one of the alternative axes in the forthcoming presidential race. The question is, who is the man to be the flag bearer? We on the Insight Tonight are adequately prepared to chew these political riddles into boluses that you, our viewer back at home, can easily swallow. I have guests with me who will help me walk the talk tonight. And of course, we have Odio Kennedy. Odio Kennedy is a governance and a youth development enthusiast, and he is also an aspirant Butula constituency. We have PDG Masu. PDG Masu is an aspirant Langata constituency and political commentator. We also have Justus Akude Jura. Justus Jura is a lawyer and a financial economist. Gentlemen, thank you so much for accepting the invitation to come to the show. And of course, those who are watching at home, you can follow us and of course continue the conversation at the Insight. Of course, you can follow us on our various social media platforms. That is at GBS TV Africa, at Eugene Ochieng Kwach. And of course, thank you so much and welcome. Well, I'll start with you, PDG Masu. It is evident that Kenya is ailing from its politics. What is wrong with our politics, and what is the solution to the politics of this country?
Well, thank you very much, Eugene.
Yes,
first of all, a good evening to everyone who is watching, and thank you for this opportunity.
Yes.
So, the problem in Kenyan politics can be described in one word: dishonesty. And it can be repeated twice and thrice. Dishonesty, yes. Dishonesty, dishonesty.
Yes, sir.
We have a dishonesty in our voting process, in our vote counting process. We are dishonest in the way we give out political positions. We are dishonest in the way we deal with our leaders and how they deal with us. No one in their honest state can actually penetrate the thick of Kenyan politics.
Yes.
The most corrupt and dishonest people are clapped at and applauded and given all manner of praises and names, while the honest ones are relegated to the background. And it is a problem that has taken over from the top office of the country to the bottom of the nation. As a political, like Iva in Langata, they analyze your political journey and progress by the rate at which you give out handouts. So this means the people themselves are already dishonest. They are ready to vote in a dishonest MP who will go to parliament to make dishonest claims that only benefit his or her interests. To a dishonest president and a dishonest cabinet that will continue calling the country for ages to come. So unless we're going to bring in the radical changes that the country needs to take people back to the line, make us a country that actually respects itself, make the citizens people who love themselves, people who love their country, patriots, people who when they hear the name Kenya, they stand up in awe and pleasure and are very happy about it. So we must weed out dishonesty, which is the biggest problem in our political system.
Odio, Mr. PDG Masu is speaking of dishonesty as the major problem that is ailing our country, the politics of our country. What is the solution to this, sir?
You see, at the end of the day, it starts with we as a people.
Yes.
Dishonesty is in our leadership.
Yes.
But who is a leader? A leader is a first among equals. What we need to understand as a people is that we are the people who put these people in these offices.
Okay.
So for them, like he has mentioned, the dishonesty starts with the voters.
Okay.
And because the voters themselves are dishonest, it's very difficult for a dishonest person to be led by an honest person.
Okay.
So it starts with we as a people.
Okay.
And that's why I usually say it's our duty as a people to enlighten, to educate, and to empower. As a person who is aspiring into leadership, I'm very honest.
Yes.
And the problem we have in the country is that because of the dishonesty, a lie told too many times becomes the truth. To a point where when you bring the truth, now your truth is now the lie.
What is the solution to all this? We already know that there is a problem, and that is dishonesty in our leadership, in the politics of Kenya. Now, what should we do?
You see, the first thing we need to do, like I said, the solution is us.
Yes.
We need to start by doing a retrospection on ourselves, walking the path of honesty. Once we walk the path of honesty, we learn we learn to embrace the word accountability in spirit and principle and action. We start becoming accountable to ourselves and to everyone else.
Okay.
Once we're able to hold ourselves accountable, then we extend that accountability to those people we elect into office.
Yes.
But when we extend that accountability, we are supposed to be honest when we electing those people. Accountability is not just about putting someone there and then asking them questions. Accountability is supposed to be proactive, where you ask questions of someone. It's about kuchagua, unachagua na unachambua mwenzako. So what happens before you put that person into office so that you hold them accountable? Hold them accountable before. You analyze them before you put them there.
Okay.
Until these are things we cannot legislate. But at the same time, even on the legislation, it's our job to ensure that laws are followed. If so that when it's not, we stand up and ensure that it is.
Well, let me give this chance to Jura. Jura, also tell us what an ideal kind of leader do we need even as we are going towards 2022?
Thank you very much. Like I said, I would love to start with what he said about the nature of politics that we have.
Yes.
He has very well tried to characterize the nature of politics in this country. Some of this definition is based on historical issues that have been there. Some are based on general notoriety that has always engulfed our politics. Things like liberation songs that people sing and populism that normally get to our politics. But all this now going back to him, we just need to be true to our constitution. The constitution provides demarcations on how structures ought to operate.
Yes.
If you are a leader, there is a way through which you should behave as a leader.
Yes.
Actually, the constitution says that as a leader you must always behave in a way that brings dignity and honor to the office that you hold.
Yes.
And so some of those, the nature of dignity and honor is well brought out in chapter 10 of the Constitution of Kenya, which tries to tell them that as you are there, know that transparency is key. As you are there, know that public participation is key.
Yes.
As you are there are matters of governance and ethics thereof that ought to be followed to the latter. The people comes in terms of trying to develop a contractual obligation between them and the leaders themselves. And as they do so, the people's welfare is always paramount. However, this at the end of the day is ditched. As people now narrow down to their tribal cocoons, trying now to see how politics of future will be. Because they are now trying to find a way of surviving. That is why you hear we are team bottom up. On the other hand, you hear we are trickle down. But what I want to tell the people of Kenya is that what is ailing this country is economy, exclusively economy, nothing beyond that. So if we prioritize our issues and put issue 1 economy, issue 2 economy, issue 3 economy, then that is the best. Then we need to be analyzing economy based on empirical observation that we make, not based on street declarations, like bottom-up approach. As an economist, I can tell you, those are not models. A bottom-up approach or trickle-down approach, those are just any method that people would want to apply. But a model in economics is carried out in some scientific manner through a process called econometrics. So if you come out and undertake econometric treatment to what is ailing a nation in terms of its economy, you will be able to know the key variables that you need to adjust accordingly. If it is GDP, for example, then you know how does consumption affect GDP?
Yes.
How does balance of payment affect GDP? And as you do, you will be able to know the multiplier effect then. In which case, you now walk back to the people and tell them on things that can realistically be achieved. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Jura. PDG Masu. Well, it's now another time that we are heading towards 2022, general elections. What should we expect? And what do you think Kenyans are going for? Do you think that Kenyans are going to choose now the ideal leader, or there's something that we are yet to know?
Karl Marx, if I may, noted that the biggest assumption of democracy is that the voter is an intelligent man. Okay? So let us look back at ourselves. Look back at Eugene. Look back at yourself as Masu. Ask yourself if you are in a position to make the right choice on that ballot paper. Because we have a broken country and we are celebrating it. Because we always divide the country into two. It's done by the politicians, and then they always bring some weak third force somewhere to try and balance things out. And then we end up forgetting the basics, okay? Because you feel that you have to belong somewhere. You feel that you need to, as a sheep, you need to belong to a herd, okay? To some flock. The other day you saw a senator logging into Senate proceedings from Sabina Joy. Okay, and you know, Kenyans were giving their opinions. If you just ran through those sentiments, you realize that we have actually a big problem. That if you're a member of the hustlers movement, and because you know that Senator Irungu Kangata is a member of the hustlers movement, then anything he does will be proper. That if you support Raila Odinga and you hear that the deep state will support his presidential bid by probably manipulating the vote count, then it is good with you, and you really don't care whether those votes will be stolen or not, whether your one vote will be transformed to 20 votes, or if someone else's 20 votes will be transformed to nil. You don't care. So it is an issue of what is, like what you said, retrospect. Look at yourself. As a Kenyan, what are you expecting in this election? What are you going to do? Can we trust you with a vote? You're also a leader in your own state. With that single vote we have given you, can we trust that if you walk to that ballot booth without any supervision, then you're going to cast a right vote? Look at yourself.
Well, BDG Masu, you've just said that there's a system. You know, you've talked about a system. That if you're supporting Raila Amolo Odinga, and if you've heard that the system is going to support Raila, then it's okay with you. It doesn't matter whether your vote is going to be turned into 20 votes. That is what you've just said. Well, now that begs the question, that does it mean that even without us voting, then even without the voter being involved, then the president or the leader for the State House 2022 has already been determined? Let me get this view from Odre. What do you think about that?
I think all I'll say is that we hear about the system, the deep state and all that stuff.
Yes.
In our context, since I became politically aware, there's always the way things have gone to a level where even a kindergarten kid will see that things are not working the way they are supposed to do. You get to a point where you feel like democracy is a fallacy. For example, some of us were alive and maybe aware in 2007 what happened. In 2013 you heard of the vifaranga vya computer. In 2017, the second election, actually, when he mentioned something about the constitution, We have a constitution that is supposed to guide us on what we do.
Okay.
In 2017, if there wasn't any extra force, then the October 26th election could not have stood. Because at the end of the day, now I get to your point of,
yes,
we talk about this thing called the system.
The system, yeah.
And I want to quote something that Oburu Odinga said.
Yes.
This time round, now that Raila Odinga has the system, he will become president.
He will become the president.
When such a pronouncement is made, then it simply means...
So you agree that the president of 2022 has already been determined?
In so much as we are supposed to be a democracy,
yes,
every Kenyan, I think every sane and objective Kenyan will tell you there are levels of manipulation, especially at the presidential level.
Okay.
To an extent that Kenyans are afraid of casting their votes.
Okay.
Like that's what brings sometimes voter apathy.
Okay.
So there's a system, there's a cabal of individuals who think that they are only safe.
Oh, okay. Let me ask this question then. You guys are talking about dishonesty amongst the voters themselves. And again, you're saying that there is a problem, there's an issue also with the system. It means that the system, the people who have already determined who the leaders, the next leaders are, going towards this 2022 election. So why do we need again to blame the voters themselves?
You see, it's multifaceted. On one side, we have the voters, but on the other side, like he mentioned,
yes,
you see there is leadership. Leadership is about taking the higher pedestal. When you are elected into office, it's not up to the person who elected you to remind you what to do. It's up to you to read the constitution, read your oath of office, and implement as is.
Okay.
So the voter has a decision to make. But once the voter makes a decision, the voter also has a duty to follow up. And that's why you have things like public participation. Public participation is not just about going there when there are development issues. It's about following up this person, even if you don't need to wait for these people to organize. You are supposed to organize yourselves as people and follow these people and keep them in check.
Okay.
So when it comes to the other side now, because these people know that we have allowed them to be above the law.
Yes.
And they are comfortably above the law.
Yes.
And that's why they can sit in a room because they know there's nothing we'll do. Because we as a people have forfeited the application of the constitution. We have forfeited our constitutional duty to oversight these people.
Okay.
And that's why they take up that.
Jura, let me ask you this. Yes. Well, it's now that the season of having election again. That is 2022. Now let me ask you, generally, even in Kenya, is getting an ideal leader that tall order? Is it a tall order to get that an ideal leader who upholds the constitution of Kenya and even the democracy of our nation?
Well, for me, I look at it and it is not a tall order per se, but it is only a tall order when we make the wrong decision. So at the point of making wrong decision at the ballot, then it becomes a tall order.
But again, let me also give you the same question as I did to him, that you guys are talking about a system. Yeah, you believe that there is a system that of course has denied your party leader, the party leader of ODM presidency for quite a number of years. Now, if you believe that there is a system, then why again do you guys blame the voters? Does it mean that...
Well, the system exists, that is a fact.
Yes.
Because it is something that has existed in most of the elections that we have witnessed taking place. The algorithm theory is something that is there.
Yes.
And it is done in favor of certain candidates.
Yes.
Anytime election is being held, and in particular, the presidential election.
Yes.
So sometimes it is proper that instead of going for explosion, you go for implosion. You go inside there and explode when you are inside, so that you debunk the entire narrative of system. So seeing Raila Odinga going and having a handshake with the so-called system, if that is the guarantee that would make him meet his Canaan dream, then for me I think it is justified, because there are some decisions you have to make, deliberate and tough decisions, meant to save people in the long run. Because in the short run, if you just say every now and again that I will not rely on this system, and you want to go it alone, you will have the numbers which he has had before, but will not be declared. You will hear a lot of issues coming up. You are not allowed to access the server, among other things. So the system is something that exists. It has been pinned in the minds of Kenyans, but now election is conducted because that is a way in which that system decision can be sanitized. Yes.
PDG, do you think it is possible for you to have the support of the system and still have the people with you? And of course, as you are answering that question, let me ask you that, do you think that someone just wakes up and says that I want to become the president of Kenya, and then within the system and everything, it is possible? Do you think even we are heading towards where we can also say that elections are free and fair?
Well, it should be possible. It really should be possible. But look, let us accept that we are a young country.
In democracy.
In democracy. We are barely 60-something, all right? And even the largest nations that have taken hundreds of years to cement their democratic institutions, like the US, you saw them having problems in the last elections. You saw Donald Trump supporters raiding the Capitol, and there were some ugly scenes there. So it actually should be possible for someone to wake up with the proper ideals and a conviction to change things in the country and get that opportunity to do it by winning the popular support of the people at the ballot, and going on to form government and lead people without external manipulation from forces like the one now we call the deep state. But let us look at the classical Raila Odinga example, which I think will be an example that will be told for generations in this country, because in my opinion, it is a very unfortunate thing to happen in our country. When we talk Raila Odinga and elections, every Kenyan talks as if they were sitting there and watching it happen live, that Raila's votes have always been stolen. You know, isn't like someone will want to give you proof that you see, I have this proof that he is, but it is something, you know, because it's like every citizen knows he has been winning elections, but the results have been saying otherwise. So it is possible to have, but I want to also call this to let the people know this, that you can actually have the support of the so-called the beast, the rhino deep state, and actually go on to lose elections, okay? So I would say Raila first is unfortunate that he has the support of a very unpopular president, one of the most unpopular presidents in the history of this country, and it is eating away at him, okay? It is because the presidents, we divide ourselves on tribal lines, and the president's backyard have deserted the president, okay? And it is reflecting on Raila Odinga. Let me remind you that in 2002, in Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe faced an election against a very popular Morgan Tsvangirai, and with all his machinery and deep state, he lost with a landslide. He was forced to postpone the announcement of the results for 3 months to find a way of negotiating with Tsvangirai to form a government that will be accommodative, okay? So you can actually have the support of this deep state, but go on to an election. I think William Ruto brought in something, and I don't want to be misconstrued and be seen like supporting the deputy president, who has a very bad public track record. He noted that hii serikali itaundwa na watu wa bodaboda, mama mboga, and the rest. What do Kenyans know about bodaboda people in this country? They are known as this pseudo militia. It is this army that can actually stand in and if possible, guard votes, if that is what it calls for to achieve the government they want. But you immediately saw Matiang'i announcing that they will engage the services of bodaboda people to help the government to guard votes. So it means let me use Matiang'i as a face of deep state, because the deep state has always been run by the security forces for a long time. He notes that actually citizens have the capability of guarding their votes. That if they vote me as their Langata representative, they can actually sit there and ensure that I am announced and sworn in as their MP.
Yes.
So what do? They ensure that they find ways of manipulating these people, these citizens, who will want to fulfill their constitutional mandate of oversight from the process of election to the process of taking office, and find ways of employing them. That was what Matiang'i said, that they will engage the services. So they will actually be bribing. Let me use the word bribing. It's not an employment. The government cannot be employing you to do your constitutional mandate. It is impossible. That is bribing. So Matiang'i wants to bribe border operatives to help the police in subverting the will of Kenyans.
Okay, Odwe, what do you say in all these things? You've had the conversation going on. Jura spoke, of course, PDG Marson has given his mind on this. What is yours on this? As we wrap up the issue about deep state and all these other...
On the issue of the deep state?
And other things, and other issues as well.
You know, as a constitutional democracy, one vote is supposed to be one vote.
Yes.
One vote in Kisumu is supposed to be one vote in Kisumu. We cannot say that one vote in Kisumu is one vote, and then one vote in Central is 20 votes, like we have seen.
Okay.
And there is another thing. We've always had these phrases where we say, you can have you need to have votes, but you also need to guard the votes. Because we are also told it's not the people who vote that matter, the people who count the votes. The issue of the system and the deep state comes in when you look at how the IEBC operates.
Yes.
In all these things, how systems are trying how there are people behind the scenes who are trying to ensure that deliberately a system fails.
Okay.
We had reports like the Kriegler report that told us the period within which IEBC commissioner should be in office. We have a president, our government, that deliberately chooses not to put the right systems in place to ensure that it's like people trying to find excuses for failure.
Okay.
And that's why when we talk of these things are things that common minds can see. You realize that people wake up to vote. But then, when you go home, the other day I was attending a seminar where the legal director of IEBC was there. What I picked from that guy, from his own mouth, he said, we don't have a problem with the voting system. And I think all of us are aware about that. So someone asked him, what about the counting and the announcement? He couldn't answer that question. Which means even at the moment today, if elections were to be held, the fact that the faith of the people are so low in the IEBC, and you know those are some of the things that cause the chaos. Because if you don't trust the referee, the result, you'll never trust the result that comes out, however weak you are.
Well, that is interesting. I think we're going for a short break, and then we will be talking about the Oka at the Mudavadi's factor. Hello, welcome back to the Insight, and of course you can keep on conversing with us at GBS TV Africa, at Eugene Ochieng Coach, on all social media platforms, and of course we'll be getting back to you as soon as possible. Well, we're continuing the conversation about the race to State House, and of course I have my guest still with me on the bench, and of course let me start with you, Jura. Jura, Mudavadi's clarion call, you actually stated categorically that the issue that is affecting Kenya is economy. Well, Mudavadi's clarion call on the resuscitation of the economy, it remains Kenya's residual source of hope for better days ahead. What do you make of a Mudavadi presidency and bearing, and what do you make of his even leadership style?
Well, thank you again. Like I said, for Mudavadi, you know, when people want to choose leaders,
yes,
like in any corporate setup, what you do, you call for CVs. Mudavadi is an economist, and economy being one of the problems that is facing this country, he actually fits the list, and they can actually come and give his economic qualification input into the country.
Yes.
But the problem is, this is politics.
Yes.
Politics is a game of numbers. You know, you can be a leader in your own capacity and rights, but you have to pass through politics as a process to come to the top and lead people.
Okay.
So how does he play his politics? The manner in which he plays his politics keeps him out of the succession politics of 2022, because He has not come out to sell himself as a national leader. He has always regionalized his political maneuvers. If you look at the setup of his political party, it is a political party that the entire leadership, the leadership structure comes from one particular tribe in this country or one particular region. So that in itself has not reflected the national outlook. So to make us conclude that he's not fit to garner national votes, but he can try his level best and get the small he would get from his western side. Yes.
Let me come to you, Pirijimas. What do you make of Mudavadi's leadership style? You look at Mudavadi saying that 2022 succession politics, Mudavadi Dani. What should we expect in a Mudavadi's government that we have not experienced in the 4 governments that we have had?
Well, first of all, Mudavadi should acquaint himself to votes. He should get used to votes. He's not a man who loves votes. He lost in Sabatia constituency back in 2002.
Yes.
And he had to be, the other time he had to be nominated.
Yes.
He has been in government.
Yes.
He has been a vice president in this country. He has been a finance minister in this country. A very powerful position, if you ask me. He has been a deputy prime minister in this country.
The vice president.
Yes. He has been, yes, vice president, deputy prime minister, finance minister. He has held very powerful positions in government. But he has nothing to show for it. Okay? He has been given the chance. He's like that servant who was called and told, here is one coin of gold. Keep it safe. I'm going for a journey, and when I come back, I'll collect it from you. Okay? And then the person, the servant took it, stored it under the pillow or wherever he put it.
Yes.
And when the boss came back and said, you know, you gave me this coin.
Yes.
Here it is. Okay? But then there was another servant who was given 2, and when the boss came, it was double. Okay? So what I'm trying to say that Mudavadi has been given the opportunity to shine as a finance minister. Here was a president who believed that this is an economist. Probably the best place he can perform is in this docket. But Mudavadi cannot even stand up in a podium and say something about it. He is always concerned about broken marriages. I don't know his problem with broken marriages.
Okay.
And I don't want that in State House if I was a voter.
Okay.
He is concerned about whether NASA is here or there. Right now, instead of campaigning for himself, you see he's talking about how bad BBI was. I mean, we have moved on from that as a nation. We were tired of the reggae.
Okay.
I mean, it was blocking other meaningful conversations.
Okay.
And now that we are trying to escape it,
Yes.
Mudavadi has that, the broken marriage mentality.
Yes.
He wants to pull it from the bricks and bring it back. But
Yes.
it's a flip-flop.
Sure.
And Kenyans hate flip-flops. They won't elect you. You stand for one thing. What do you stand for? In 2013, he wanted to vie with Uhuru. When he realized that he's been outmaneuvered, he has to vie alone. Okay? And even in all this, he's always concerned about, you know, ndugu yangu Raila, Ruto this, me this. He has never brought out a clear ideological standpoint.
Okay.
With your ideological standpoint, we can vet you. We can gauge you. We know how you stand, where you stand, and what we expect from you.
Okay.
And with Mudavadi, we are not sure. And that is not something we want. We know that Ruto is pushing for bottoms up. So he might have a very bad presidency where he's distributing wheelbarrows and gugutenis all over. And there's nothing concrete happening to people who are actually bettering themselves with education. Or a Raila presidency, a Raila who has campaigned the Unga politics for years in this country. And we know that if Raila is president, we are expecting lower prices of Unga, lower prices of fuel, lower prices of this. We know where he stands.
Okay.
But these Mudavadi man, and you can see he's saying now he wants a Kikuyu deputy, which is a very funny thing to say at this moment. He has no ideology. We cannot rate him. We cannot judge him. He's used to making political tactical blunders, and we will give him the freedom to make his political blunders once again, because this is a free country and he has the freedom of choice.
Wow, interesting. Well, Odwe Kennedy, well, there's PDG, you've spoken about something that I'd love us to come back to later. and that is about everyone trying to choose the Mount Kenya as the deputy, as the deputy in the 2022 race. Now to Odwe, you've heard what Jura said, and Jura is saying that wow, Mudavadi is a great economist. And PDG is saying that okay, Mudavadi is given something, but what he has been given, he did not use it well. He's been a vice president, he has been a deputy minister, and of course, all these things. To him, he believes that Mudavadi is not the right person to be the president of Kenya, and actually says that Mudavadi does not like votes. What do you think about that?
As a person,
yes.
All I can say about Mudavadi is that Mudavadi as a person has the demeanor of a president. Okay. He has that image. I would say he has pointed out that he doesn't have an ideology, but I think most of the time I've listened to him, he was talking about the public debt, he was talking about how to expand the tax bracket. His only problem is and which is on most occasions the most important character of a leader, decisiveness. Decisiveness, you see, for you to present yourself for election, you should be in a position of electing yourself. Wanasema unajiita mkutano. When you call yourself for that meeting, you decide the leader you want to become. Once you've decided the leader you want to become, you decide the path you want to follow to become that leader.
Yes.
Once you've decided that path, you know what to do, the obstacles, and you pursue that to the end. That's the one thing that he lacks. Yes. To a level where, to any objective thinking Kenyan, you look at Mudavadi and you see a man who is not running his game. Because at the end of the day, we'll give, maybe, I don't know if we are going to talk about this, something like Oka. Why would Mudavadi be dancing in the armpits of Gideon Moi? If he was his own man, why would he wait for Gideon Moi to organize something so that after organizing that thing, now he can say, I should be there? As a person, I believe, a man who wants to lead, as a parliamentary aspirant in Butula constituency, they have chosen a path, and I'm pursuing it to the end within that constituency. When you decide you want to become the president, the first thing he has mentioned, and it's not just about the tribe. Actually, it's not even the tribe, because the Luhya tribe is big. It's not about the region. Mudavadi is just confined within Vihiga, and to some extent, when he steps out of Vihiga, he never goes beyond Kakamega unless he's going for a funeral.
But we have seen him in Central of late.
Unless he's going to a funeral, or he's going to a function organized by the president.
Okay.
And he's invited.
Funeral function.
So this is a man.
Okay.
You see, you can take, I usually tell, you see, like at the moment we have two people. We have the Right Honorable Raila Odinga and Ruto. Take everything away from Raila, the BBI mistakes and everything, but you can never take away that man's history. Okay. And that history puts him. William Ruto, take away everything, but you can never take away that man's energy. You know, when those are two people, you will see them in Garissa today, you will see them tomorrow in Kisumu, you will see them in Coast. That is now a man who wants to be the president. Okay. But you cannot be the president, and the only time you go to Central is when you've been invited for a harambe or in church. Wow. You must be able to organize, because leadership is about organizing yourself. Leadership is the ability to organize and mobilize resources. Once you've organized, you channel them to your cause. That's when now you become that person that people will see and see a decisive man who is on a mission. And once people see a decisive man on a mission, they follow you. That's leadership.
You just spoken about...
He's taking too much tea.
Okay. You just...
No.
you just said that Mudavadi is dancing on Gideon Moi's armpit. Well, Jura, what do you think about Oka? One Kenya land simply wants to be the president.
What he's saying is a correct position.
Yes.
Because if you look at Oka, the structure of Oka, you realize that there is this one candidate that is basically there purposely to fund the entire activities of this group. So that if you delete this person from the entire team, then the team remain defunct and there is nothing else they can do. And chances are they will run back home where they came from. They will run back to Raila Odinga and look for other places where they can go and take tea. Like today, we saw Mudavadi running to Karen.
The other time.
He went to Karen to take tea and even attend the wedding of the daughter of deputy president. So those are instances we see.
So Oka, as it is right now, I look at it as a coalition that is not yet serious to take presidency. And also they have divided interests within themselves. There are those, you are a system and you still believe, or part of you still believe that you cannot become president. So they are thinking of a third party whom they can go and link up with to become president. So I see Oka that very soon they are going to link up with Raila Odinga. And chances are they are going to back up Raila Odinga for president, which will give Raila Odinga a huge advantage in terms of becoming the president of this country.
But anyway, well, in as much as you might be saying that maybe Musalia has drunk too much of tea and mandazi, but I think he is still a denominator in the politics, in the political succession 2022, and that we cannot deny. And so, well, what do you think? There's a looming Jubilee ODM merger, an alliance, to be precise, PDG.
Yes.
Do you think that the Musalia Mudavadi factor,
yes,
the fact that he wants to be on the ballot 2022, might complicate the equation for Amolo Odinga and Raila and Uhuru power sharing deal? What do you think?
Well, let me first declare that Uhuru Kenyatta is a life member of ODM, just like William Ruto is.
William Ruto is
yes, life members of ODM,
okay,
members of the Pentagon.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jubilee is dead. That's another declaration I'd love to make. Jubilee is dead, and any merger between ODM and Uhuru Kenyatta's political group cannot be termed as an ODM Jubilee merger. That would be marrying off a husband to a dead wife, which is a marriage that cannot stand the test of time. But Musalia Mudavadi factor, to me, it does not exist. When Musalia Mudavadi vied as president, Raila beat him in his own constituency. Okay? Raila beat him in his own constituency in the number of votes, and in the whole, in the larger Western Kenya, Raila beat him pants down. Okay?
But things change, sir. Things change.
I know.
Things
I know.
change.
Look, first of all, I accept that. Well, I was surprised that that area, the Lake region of Kenya, according to the CIA fact book, it is the most populated area in Kenya. Though our statistics here claim that central Kenya. So it's a funny thing. But there's a huge deposit of votes there. And that huge deposit of votes, they are a radical people. They are a proud people. They have a culture. There is the way they vote. They don't vote for flip-flops, okay? That is the larger Luhya community and the Luo community who occupy that region of the country. These people are more comfortable voting William Ruto if Raila is not in the mix than they would be rushing to vote Musalia Mudavadi because people are run by their ideals. When you are in that voting booth alone, you want to make your decision as an individual. Your values are what will make you tick a particular candidate as your candidate of choice. So as much as you would say things change, if you were to bring in the Western Kenya factor into the presidency, then probably if Moses Wetangula would be the leading candidate for Oka because Wetangula has more charisma when speaking to those people than Mudavadi has. You saw his campaigns in those last by-elections when he was campaigning for Nabulindo. He would go to the people and they're sleeping. So it just shows you that he has no particular sway. He cannot affect the results of the presidency even if he wants to.
Okay, sure. Well, Odeo, in this pact to make Jubilee ODM coalition, government, like what should we expect? What like the resource allocation, terms of presidency, sharing of ministries? What should Kenyans expect?
You know, the first thing...
And even is the marriage tenable itself?
The first thing is, I question the wisdom of the Right Honorable Prime Minister and the people around him in even considering merging with Jubilee. Because the baggage that Jubilee has, I don't think there's any sane Kenyan, even in Mount Kenya, who can vote for. The other day I know Iguru was saying, if I was to fight today with Jubilee, I will not get it. Jubilee is one of the parties that... Actually, Jubilee at the moment, Jubilee is worse off than KANU was in 2002. So for you to go into a pact with someone with such a baggage, you know, it's like like he said, you're marrying a dead wife, you're inheriting a dead wife. It's, in my opinion, I will say, it was a very, it's not something that can bring votes onto your
But what
table.
if the dead wife has resources? Maybe you can inherit.
You see, the dead wife you can only inherit if that dead wife is,
The beauty of a
let's
wife is
say that dead wife is a Mzungu from Italy who came here and never had anyone. But as long as the dead wife has a family, has even very extended ones, you will never inherit even a single coin. The second thing,
Yes.
for us to sit here and discuss that two people are supposed to sit down and decide that the ministry should be shared, this number of, the same thing that the other day I had Moses Kuria saying that 40% should go to 50%. I think I saw somewhere where this Zach Kinuthia saying that if democracy was to prevail, Kikuyus would have, you know, for us to be having such a conversation where in a democratic state where voting is by secret ballot, where people come out, you know, that's how ethnic antagonism is entrenched in a society.
Okay.
And these are people who are coming from a coalition or a government that is preaching national unity. For them to come out and say that it's only one, you know, that's what happened in Rwanda. The false sense of superiority among us, a specific category of people, where regardless of your numbers or regardless of your purpose, there are people who have praised and painted themselves as being superior to the others.
Okay.
The parameters they use are only known to themselves. Because what I know, constitutionally and biblically, everyone has the potential to attain anything. Actually, for me, I usually say, I use this thing, even in leadership. A leader is not a god.
Okay.
There's nothing, any sane person
Okay.
with the right structures and system can become president, can become MP. So we need to cut that out so that we abide by the constitutional proclamations.
Okay, Juram.
Yes.
Biriji Masu and Odoye share the same idea that ODM Jubilee merger that will be that is marrying a dead wife. If at all this is going to happen, what is going to be the repercussions of ODM it on itself, which has stood by democracy for the longest time, merging with a dead wife, let me call it so. And apart from that, should they merge, like bearing that Jubilee has got a baggage of its own, how will they be sharing maybe let us say about resources, a sharing of ministries, sharing of in terms of presidency? What do we expect?
Well, I was about to register my opposition or rebuttal in regards to what they're saying about the death of Jubilee.
Yes.
Which for me, I believe is not the case.
Okay.
I think if statistics serves as well, we just saw the election that was conducted at Kiamba, and that was a purely Jubilee versus UDA. And if you are going by that statistics in terms of percentage, Jubilee got its fair part of the percentage. So is UDA. And anybody who would be strategizing for UDA now should be more worried, because that percentage tells you that if you are to go for central Kenya votes and have 100%, then that bucket of votes is leaking, and leaking to the extent of 40 or so percent. So 40 or so percent is not something that you are going to say that you make a declaration of a stronghold for UDA. So a dead person, therefore, would not garner 40% and above. So that to me is not the case. What is the problem with Jubilee right now is matters to do with management and matters to do with how the party is being run in terms of how they communicate, the particular politician they align themselves with. If they go and re-engineer or do what is called corporate restructuring, then I believe they will still be a force to reckon with. And actually, they will still try to downgrade Ruto's population in central Kenya and anywhere else where Jubilee has had a hand before. So ODM, there is still time.
Yes.
Electioneering period is with us, yes. But if you look at the type of politics taking place in Central right now, everybody is coming up with a political party. Everybody is coming up with a political party, and that what tells you seated as a political strategist is that everybody wants to be on the dinner table, not to be the menu at the end of the day, which is again an advantage to ODM party. So if ODM can bring all this and form a complex conglomerate that they can use to, approach this election, then Ruto is going to be multiplied by 0 at the end of the day.
Okay.
When you are multiplied by 0, it means you have no chance at all. You're going to lose it. So if you look, the parties like the one being formed by Kiunjuri, Moses Kuria,
Yes.
Moses Kuria is coming up with a very valid conversation.
Okay.
Some people look at it as politics, but that is not politics. I mean, that is not just politics.
Yes.
There is something deep inside it.
Okay.
That who is going to address Central Kenya matters, being that Central Kenya is a swing vote this particular time.
Okay.
They are at a crossroad actually, which has never happened before in this country. So who is going to address the matters that Moses Kuria is trying to do what? To say. So Ruto will come to the podium and say, this is how I'm going to approach these issues. Raila Odinga will do the same. And certainly from where I sit, Raila will carry the day.
Wow.
So the coalition that is likely to be formed between ODM and Jubilee, for me, I think is a coalition that is yet to be breathed life into, and it will be a formidable team to reckon with.
Thank you so much. Well, let me give this PDG.
Yes.
Well, everyone is talking about Central Kenya. I want to, a deputy from Central. And actually, you mentioned it. Mudavadi wants a deputy from Central as the running mate. Everyone is talking about Mount Kenya. Why is it Mount Kenya alone? Why not other places? What is up with Mount Kenya? Why must everyone talk about it?
Mount Kenya is a beautiful girl in the village whose husband is dead. Mount Kenya is a fertile piece of land whose owner is dead. So everyone wants a share of it. It's as fertile as you know. Through what I believe is statistical manipulation, it has been projected as one of the most populous areas in Kenya, and which has the highest, one of the highest number of votes, only second to the Rift Valley. Okay? So everyone believes that if they can tap into this bucket of votes by getting a deputy president from there and assure those people that their interests are catered for, then they are in a position to actually win this election. Okay? So that is why it could be the deliberate activities of Raila's and Uhuru's camp to gerrymander Central Kenya to ensure that everyone is coming up with a party, because Ruto appeared to be picking up a chunk of it, a block of it, and running off with it. Yes. But let us not get ahead of ourselves. Let us not start imagining that the country depends on Central Kenya, unless we want to use determinism in our politics.
Yes.
We're not Lebanon.
Okay.
You know, it's only in Lebanon where they say this community will produce the president, and it is so. You produce the prime minister, and it is so. You produce the speaker, it is so. So as a community, you quarrel among yourselves, you give us one person to be the president. You quarrel among yourselves, you give us one person to be the deputy president, the prime minister. No, we are not Lebanon. We are a democracy, a constitutional democracy. And so as much as people are rushing to Central Kenya, let us promise them that there is no absolutism whether or not you get a deputy from there. Mudavadi had a deputy from there in 2013. In that place, in that constituency alone, you don't get 100 votes. So it can tell you that as much as we want to rush there, let us focus on the other. The conversation really is changing, whether you want to accept it or not, whether it's pushed by William Ruto or Raila Odinga. We are changing the conversation.
We are short of time, Masu, and I'd love us just to give our parting shots. I don't know if or do you can give yours in 2 seconds. Can you try? Of course, just talk about it, and of course we have the government banning political rallies. Of course, terming them as COVID-19 super spreaders, and so the church has now become the new battleground. What do you think, even as you give your parting shots, sir?
Dishonest. When you have a dishonest government, it's very difficult for citizens to comply. One of the reasons why Kenyans have not been following COVID protocols is because we have a dishonest government. It's a government that tells you this and it does the opposite. The president will tell you now that we have banned political rallies, and you'll see the president the next day in the evening on the news. It's being programmed. So at the end of the day, if we kill the dishonesty, we'll solve our problems. And as a parting shot, as a person, as a parliamentary aspirant in Butula, this is what I'm telling the young people, especially the young people. The system will never work if you don't vote. But the system works better when you don't just vote, but when you present yourself for positions of leadership. So the young people, I wish we could mobilize ourselves away from these narratives, because all these narratives are just three sides of the same coin. These people here we are talking about, and that's why I really feel sometimes very irritated when I see people taking sides, because the truth is, after 2022, William Ruto, Mudavadi, all of them will be on the table somewhere, and they will have their conversation, their businesses will continue, their people will be appointed in government. So I wish we as young people, we as the people who are seeing the problem, could organize ourselves away from that narrative and build a new momentum that can lead us to the final liberation, the economic one.
Odweyo, let me give your parting shot, Mr. Jura.
Well, on the matter of COVID-19, it is something that is with us, and I encourage all of us as a country to get jabbed. For those who have not been jabbed, it is important for our health, because vaccination is one important thing on how we can run away from this disease. Number two, as a country, we also need to do an introspection of ourselves and realize what we really want. If it is youth, what do we really want? If it is women, what do we really want? And that should actually inform how we are going to vote. So vote wisely, but number one thing that I contend with, that our economy is important. Important not only to the people at the top, but as well to the people at the bottom. So as you do that, do a thorough search of the candidate that you are about to elect. And that's all.
Opiriji Masu.
Yeah, well, conclusively, I want to say that youth, vijana, wherever you are, let us listen to our fellow youths, let us get the right information from them, and let us, most importantly, elect our youthful leaders. Because the old people will not be there in 2050 to be accountable for the empty promises they are making right now. But we will be there to live with you. We will be there to live with those consequences with you. And together, we can always come to the table and create something good for ourselves for the future, without having to depend on people who will not be there.
Yes, I just wanted to make a comment when it refers to old people and trying to make youth as one of the super ordinary human beings we have in the society and can solve all the problems. Yes. And I want to invite the attention to one poem written by Samuel Alman about the youth. Yes. It is one of the important poems that tells you that youth is not about the number of years lived, but it is the character you have and the potential in you. Wow. So you can be 60, but you still have the charisma to take the country forward, as opposed to a youth who is 16 years old. So as we look at age in terms of deliverables that we expect from this politician.
Wow. 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 What an interesting conversation from the panelists. Thank you so much, gentlemen. That is Jura, who is a financial economist and a lawyer. We had Opiriji Masu in the house. We also have Odweyo Kennedy. Both are parliamentary aspirants. Every Friday, 8 p.m. Then it's the Insight, where we educate you, we enlighten you, and of course, we make a very deliberate conversation, all because of you. And of course, you have a good night. Till next Friday, my name is Eugene Ochieng Kwach.